Welcome to another edition of the Sim Racing Garage. I'm Barry Rowland, and in this episode, we'll be reviewing the Power Wind Sim Racing Wind Simulator from Sim Racing Studio. Now, I've been looking at these types of systems for a while now, and always wondered if they could really add to the immersion of the sim racing experience. Now that I finally have my hands on one, it's time to put it through the SRG review process. So let's get to it. So now we'll take a look at everything you get in a 2-fan kit, which is probably going to be the most popular kit that he has. You can actually put 2 more fans to this kit and have a 4-fan kit, but we'll talk about that in a second. First, let's just take a look at the fan that you get. And it's a computer fan, and it's got a nice 3D printed shroud or diffuser or whatever you want to call it on the front, which is going to maximize the wind speed we get out of this. And we will be testing this later on just to see what the difference is with it removed and with it actually on the fan. So we'll go over here to the close-up camera and take a look at what we have here. He's got this 3D case that holds the electronics and wiring on the bottom, and he's got this cool raised Sim Racing Studio logo on there. I kind of like that. That's going the extra mile there. I like that. And it's got a GoPro attachment on the bottom of it down here, and right now there's a GoPro foot on it. So this is what comes with the kit. And that allows the fan to turn this way and also obviously tilt that way. Now, maybe, and more than likely, if you're like me, these things right out of the box, obviously this won't do it for me, and I'll have to get something else to make this work, and I did. But there's thousands of different attachments and accessories you can get for this GoPro mount that he's got on this 3D printed box here, so no worries there. And on the back here, we can see that there is an RJ45 connector for the data wires, and we have a DC connector over here that's giving us the 12 volts to actually run the fan. Just a 120 millimeter computer fan. I'm not sure the brand name. It's Jergens or something Gears. I don't know if you can see that because of the way they printed it on this silver background. It's hard to see. Anyway, not much else to see here on the fan, and again we're going to be testing this as far as the efficiency of it. Now here we have a hub, if you will, and it has 4 RJ45s in it. We get a closer look at that over here, and it is a 3D printed box, and we have an auxiliary, we have a tack, and a wind right and left port on this. And the tack is for the tack that they sell, and aux obviously is for something else that they might be developing in the future. And again, this is a 3D printed box. It's got the raised labeling on it there. Again, a nice touch. And we got some screws holding the bottom on. We also have a USB, there it is, a USB mini plug there. And really not much else to see. And we have a logo on the other side too. It's also in that raised lettering. Very nicely done. Nice 3D printed box. We're going to be looking inside of here, obviously, like we always do here at the SRG, to see what kind of electronics we have going on in there later on. You can also actually run, now you're probably thinking, wow, if you can get 4 fans in a kit, how are you going to run this? And what it is there's a splitter that you can get, and there's a lot of different splitters out there. I've got a picture of one here. And what that'll do is obviously take one RJ45 and split it into 2, and that's for data. So apparently that works because that's what Sim Racing Studios has said works. So you can add one of those hubs if you want to, and then we can do 4 to 1 to this 2 ports we have already on the hub. So we get some power supplies. And these are a 2-part type of power supply. They have obviously the converter in here, converting our AC to DC, and they're rated at, let's get over here and take a closer look. You see it right there. So we're putting out 12 volts at 2 amps. So that's pretty good power supply here. 2 amps is a good power supply as far as these fans being able to turn as fast as they possibly can. And the DC plug is the usual, I believe this is a 2.1 mil. Got a little yellow tab on it. So I think that's a 2.1 mil on the inside of that. That's pretty industry standard, I think. And it's obviously made into this, so we can't unplug it from here. And then we have the little funky plug that we always see on these things. that's going to provide obviously the AC mains power to the box itself. Nothing really special here, and you need one of these for every fan that you're going to run. So if you're going to get a 4-fan kit, you need to get 4 of these. Or maybe do something different. I think if I was going to run 4 fans, I would probably get one of those little Meanwell power supplies that can do like 10 amps and just run and piggyback off the negative and positive terminal on that, and just run one of these wires over to each fan off of that, and that way I could piggyback it. It puts out 10 amps. That's plenty of current available for all 4 fans. Or maybe not, because if you get 4 of these, obviously you're going to need 4 electrical plugs. So need a power strip. What else we get? Well, only one more thing, and that's a USB cord. Nothing special here. It's just a USB-B mini. And of course we have the USB-A on the other side. Not very long either, so I'm going to be using a longer one because of where my computer is located in relation to where these fans will be located. But they do at least give you one, and again, if you're not going to have your box close enough, then you're going to have to get something longer. Right. So, well, that's it. So these are the parts that we get. What we'll do next is we'll go ahead and set the fans up. I'll show you how I'll set them up. You just give you a look at it, and then we're going to do the testing on taking the shroud off or this diffuser and testing the wind speed from just the naked fan, and then with this concentrator put back on, and see how that works out. Now we have the covers off of everything, so we can take a look at stuff. What we love to do here at the SRG. And you can see here, this is his own proprietary design board, so he's designing his own circuitry here. Of course, you can see the Sim Racing Studio logo on there, and this is Revision 3 board. And if you look down in here, you can see the labeling for the TAC and the aux and the wind left and right for the RJ12 connectors. And he's using a nano board here, and it's very cool. When he had, this is all professionally done, when he had the PCB made up, you can see the headers that he actually installed there to accept this nano board. And usually people use their Arduinos or something to actually program this and put some firmware on there to get this board to do what they want it to do. So he's already done the programming for this also. Very nicely done. And again, just plug this back into the header on here. And again, you don't have to do this kind of thing obviously to your unit when you get it, but we just like to see what's going on inside of it. And you have to be careful with this stuff, so you don't want to bend any pins or cause any damage that you don't have to when you're reseating it into these headers. I've got a little experience with this, so I usually get lucky and don't break anything. Right, so let's take a look at the fan. Not really the fan, but the controller board for the fan. And again, this is his proprietary design. So again, another PCB board that he has designed. It's got a nice screw-on header that he's put on there, so that captures the wires. It makes it nice and tight so they won't come out. Got us a little diode down here and a transistor for power. And in front of that, you can see we have the resistor. And of course the RJ12 and the DC plug for plugging everything in. Again, very nicely done. I really like what I'm seeing here. So really that's all there is to it. And like I said, I always like to go inside of this stuff and see what's going on and how they've done it. So what we're going to do next is get to actually mounting this, which is really probably one of the most subjective things there is when it comes to this wind simulator stuff. You need to find a good place to put it, and depending on your rig is, well, where you're going to be putting it. So we're going to see where I'm going to have to put mine next. This is how I ended up mounting the fans for my review purposes, and you can see with the kind of motor mount that I have on this P1 cockpit, that's really the only solution I had. And of course I'm using triple monitors, with actually quad monitors, and I pull those in closer when I'm actually driving. And what I did, I just used the mount that came with this unit and just went ahead and stuck it on the front of the face of this vertical motor mount here. And you can see they're pointed pretty at diagonals, or angles rather, not diagonals, but angled towards my head. And I've run this a little bit already, and it definitely puts a breeze in your face. I'll tell you that. About 20, I think the max I got was 22 with the diffuser on the front. Now, you can see the fan over here does not have the diffuser on the front right now. because next what I'm going to do is test this and see what speeds I get off the fan at the same distance away from the fan with the wind meter I have. And then we're going to stop that test and put the diffuser that we see over there back on the front of this and test again and just see how effective those diffusers are. And I'll go around here. You can see the cabling on this one I've already got set up. Okay, so what we'll do next is get our wind meter set up and actually do a little test on just how much this wind machine can put out. So now this is the setup we're going to use for the speed test on testing the fan speed with and without the diffuser. Currently we have no diffuser on it, and over here you can see my wind meter set up, and I have it set that way so I can actually drive and do everything else without touching it, so it never changes its distance from the fan. So we're trying to keep this as accurate as possible. So what we'll do now is switch over and go up to the application here and turn on the fan. Right now it's off. Go over here. Now it's off, then it's auto, and auto is obviously when you're in the car and driving, and the curve is involved then, where the faster you go, the faster the fan spin. But we want to know what max output is, so I'm going to go to full on, and it's going to start making some noise here, and we'll see what we get. Always on. There it goes. Alright, so at this distance from the fan, I'm getting, what's that? So between about 8.5, 9, well, there's 9.2. So we're going to say about 9 miles an hour then, it looks like average. Back down to 8.9, 8.8, 8.9. Yeah, I think I'd call this 9 miles an hour, even though it just went back down to 8.2. So I'm not sure how accurate this wind meter is. It is a Kestrel, it's supposed to be pretty good, but again, you can see the variables as far as the speed here just by sitting it in front of it. It's not moving at all as far as the wind meter. Look, up to 9.3. So it looks like, I don't know, maybe we should call this like 9 miles an hour. That seems to be where it's mainly living at. So next what we'll do is we'll come back and we're going to reinstall the shroud. We'll come back and see if there's any improvement in the speed with the shroud. The shroud is put back on the fan now, so we can actually get on with our test and see if there's any increase off this shroud. I got a feeling there is going to be, but we just don't know how much. So now we'll go up and again turn the fan on. Alright, it's on auto now, so here we go. And fan is on. See what we get. Well, 22. Wow, that is a definite increase, I would say. From what we're calling 9 to 22.1, 22.0, or 21.9. And really, it looks like it, with the shroud on, it's much more consistent too. So maybe it wasn't my wind meter. It's just now that everything's more concentrated, the wind meter can get a more accurate reading off of it. So yeah, it looks like we can call this, I'd just call it 22 because I know it went up to 22 a couple times, and 21.9 is close enough. So yeah, that's a heck of an increase. That's really a well-designed shroud there. I'm actually a little surprised. I didn't think it would make that much difference. Yeah, okay. So, go ahead and turn this fan back off. And it sounds noisy because, well, it is noisy. But once you're in the cockpit and driving the car, you really don't even hear it. At least I don't hear it. All I do is feel the wind. So what we'll do next is we'll get in and leave this wind meter the way it is, because I want to see what kind of variations we're getting in wind speed when we're actually in the car and driving it. So we'll get to that next. All right, here we are in the F2000 car, open wheel car in iRacing. And for this testing, I'll be superimposing my wind meter up in the left-hand window. And you see when I first start out here, you'll see the wind, they start spooling out right away as soon as the wheels start moving. So that's good. You really don't have to get up to speed before they come on. The first thing you notice about this is, wow, you got wind in your face where you never had it before. And it's actually pretty cool. And also, when you start going around corners, I have the wind curving active right now. And what that does is, as we're going through a turn, whether it be a right turn or a left turn, the inside of the turn, whichever way it is, that fan, like if I'm going around a right-hand curve or a right-hand turn, the right-hand fan will slow down more than the left-hand fan based on the speed of the car and how many G's the car is pulling. And that's to simulate the interference that the side of the car creates in the wind when it's going around a corner real fast. And how really it wasn't, I noticed it, but when you're in the car and driving real fast, it's something that I didn't notice as much as I thought I would. And I actually turned it on and off and tried it different ways, and sometimes I preferred it to be off so that the fans were always running at the same speed, and sometimes I just played with it to turn it on. But I think my default would be just having them on because it was better cooling for me. You know, the longer you get into a session, the hotter you get, and when that inside fan turned down going around the corner, you noticed it. So I just went ahead most of the time and had it turned off. But it is a cool feature, and again, something like this is purely subjective, and so it's up to the individual what you want to do. Another great thing about this system. So you can see we're getting up to 22 miles an hour right there. So we're getting the full blast of the fan, and you can see my hair is getting blown around pretty good too. And it's just the bottom of my neck and face that's getting blown, not the top, because it's really concentrating a beam of air or wind at you. And it really works well. I thought, you know, when I first got this system, and I've seen guys using them before, I was thinking, a couple of computer fans. And I know there's another system out there that uses those ducted prop fans that really put some air out. And I could just imagine how loud they were going to be. And I was thinking, just how loud can these fans get? How much air can they put out? And really, with these shrouds on these fan motors, they are really putting out a stiff breeze. And you can feel it. It's like really pressing on you. So, yeah, hats off for Sim Racing Studio to be able to come up with this shroud to make these fans do what they do. It really is a strange feeling at first, but you get used to it very quickly. And like I didn't have any problem getting used to it, and actually really like it. The only thing for this on a guy like me running triple monitors, or actually quad monitors, is where to put these fans on your sim. As you can see, my monitors are sitting further back now because I have the fans up, and I typically have my monitors up over the steering column at about 24 inches from my eyes. And I cannot do that with this fan system, obviously configured the way it is. So that's the only thing about this system. You've got to figure out a way to mount these fans to where they're going to fit in your cockpit. And of course, if you're totally a VR driver, then it's really not an issue. You don't have anything in front of you most of the time anyway. Or if your monitor is in front of you, you can set it back far enough that it's really not an issue, I imagine. So you can just set them up right in front of the steering wheel or further back, depending on what you want to do. And there's a lot of different mounting solutions like I covered before in the closer look segment of this video. So you just have to find the right mount for your situation. And I looked at some other ways to mount these, and I could probably still run them off the sides of the steering post and right under my speakers. I was thinking just kind of tilt them up, but then I'd have to get some more profile for that and some ball joint type things to make that work. But it is totally workable. So that's really the only downside I can see from this system, is you have to have space to run it. And these, I think about that ducted fan system that's available also, and how much power that must be able to put out. And I tell you, with these things as close as they are to my face here, which is probably, I think I measured it out to be about 30 inches, they are putting out a lot of air. And I don't think I'd want any more, to be quite honest. But if I was going to run the ducted fans, I'd probably have them behind everything and run some ducting up to it. I've seen guys do that too. So there's a lot of ways to accomplish this. But this system from Sim Racing Studio really is a tight system. It does everything it says it's going to do, and it really is a cool experience. At first I didn't think it would be much, but really it adds a lot to the immersion of the experience of being in an open wheel car. So that being said, I guess that's about it for our review. What I'm going to do next is we're going to take a look at the actual software application and go into that a little bit, which really is pretty simple. There's not much to see there. And after that, we'll just do the final thoughts. So next, it'll be software. So now we're looking at the Sim Racing Studio software app that comes with their kit. And actually, I like this software app. It's very simple and straightforward, not a lot to it, which keeps everything simple and easy to use and lets us get on with the task of driving and having fun. Now, first off, you'll see down here, it'll give you the app version, the usual stuff on applications, 1800. The game's not running now, and IntelliBox is connected. That means the hub is connected. And firmware version's 15. I'm not sure what Model 3 means, but it says that too. All right, so here's the button here that you have already seen me use when we were doing some wind speed testing. And you can change what the fans are actually doing, which is a good thing because they're not always running all the time. So you can turn them off. You can go to auto, which is typically where we're going to have it all the time when we're running in our games. And then we can actually start it by turning it on to always on, and you'll hear the fans come on there. Turn that back off because it can be loud when you're not in the cockpit and you have your volume of your car engine and everything running loud. This can actually sound pretty loud. Now, let's go to the settings. Now, here's where we can change things in the wind curving. Now, the wind curving is actually when you're going into a corner and you're going around the corner, the inside corner fan, so if I'm going around the right corner, the right fan would actually slow down more than the outside or left fan. And that's to simulate the G-force, if you will. So it's based on the speed of the car going in the turn and, of course, how many G's you're pulling in that turn for how much the wind will actually go down based on your car going around a corner real fast. At least that's the way I would think that's the way it's working. And then, of course, when you come out into the straight, then it speeds up to the same speed that the left-hand fan would actually be running, and then, of course, vice versa if you're going into a left turn. I played with that a little bit, and sometimes I wanted it on, sometimes I didn't. I wanted more cooling, so I would turn it off, and it's easy enough to do that. All you got to do is go in and say no, and save, and then we're good. So it won't do that. I'll just keep them the same speed no matter how fast we're going through a turn or anything like that. So again, it's something else you can play with, experiment with, and make up your own mind how you would like to use it. Now, we also have the max speed, so we can go in here and use the up and downs to change our wind speed, or you can just grab the whole thing, and let's say I just want to make it 50, then you just grab the whole thing like that, enter, and you're good to go. And we save it, and now I have no wind curving, and max speed is 50 if I have too much wind in my face. So that's great. We can actually change all that. And of course, I want to put that back up to 100 because that's normally where I ran it, and we'll be running it. And we'll save it again. All right, and we have a shift light indicator dimming. I don't have a shift light or the tack, so yeah, that's irrelevant for me, but you can change that. So if you're running in a bright room, you'd want it brighter, obviously. And if you're running in the dark, then we could turn it down so it doesn't bother us. Now, we can go in here for the instructions, and the instructions actually have a direct link to their website. And there it is, Sim Racing Studio. And it goes to the download page where we can download the SRS app. You can report a bug or request a feature that you would like, and also all the instructions for how to load your software and how to configure your games to run this software. And there's a bunch of them in here. iRacing, Assetto Corsa, Project Cars 1 and 2. So they've got a lot of games really covered here. I was a little surprised to see that many. Then we can go down to our change log on our versions of this application, telling us what's changed, what's been added, that kind of thing. So also, when I downloaded this SRS app and installed it, I had a problem where my computer did not recognize it, and it tells you right here, troubleshooting. Obviously, they're aware of this because you can see there's a little window over here that shows a USB 2.0 serial with the exclamation mark, which means that Windows does not recognize it, doesn't have a driver for it. So all you have to do, it's really simple to fix this, though, which is really great. They've done a great job foreseeing that there's going to be some issues here and there and curing it. You just go, if your device manager has the exclamation mark, it says it right there, and you just go to this little link where it says instructions here, and that's going to take you to another link where you'll download the CH341 SER executable file. And what that is a small app that actually installs the proper driver that you need. And this says driver setup 64, so I don't know if because my computer is a 64-bit running that operation system, if that's why it didn't load to begin with, but who knows. So you just hit install, and bingo, you'll see this driver install success, not excess. And I was good to go. However, there could be, a problem that wasn't working, and if so, then you can still see the exclamation mark. It even goes through the details of how to manually update your driver using the Windows manual update process. And there you go. You're ready to race at the end here. Right. So not much else to see here. We got a free trial. You can try it. You can shop. You can go to their shop over here and actually buy a whole package. Look at that, a 4-wind power wind package for $349. And I have a double fan, which is $189, and that includes everything that we saw before. And here's the tack with the shift light on it. Very cool looking, actually. I might want to give that thing a go one of these days, because it actually looks pretty cool. I like that blue background on it. Anyhow, so anyway, this tells you what you can buy. And airflow straightener for power wind. That's that diffuser or concentrator, I was calling it, shroud. They're calling it an airflow straightener. So that's another $15 if you don't have one already. But it looks like every fan he sells, you can see over here, is actually shipping with that shroud on there. Right. Let's go ahead and close that out and get back to my main, and we're ready to go again. So that's all there is to it. It's very simple, and again, I like that because it doesn't take a lot of time to get this thing set up, and actually right from the bat it's on auto over here instead of off. It's on auto, so you're really ready to go. In a game like iRacing, as soon as you get in there, it just starts working. There's really nothing else for you to do. So very cool. I like the way the software works, and yeah, so that's the software section, and we'll get on to the rest of the review next. Final thoughts on the Power Wind kit from Sim Racing Studio. When I first saw these wind simulator kits, I thought that they would probably keep you cool but not add that much to the immersion of driving a car. But I was wrong. These systems do up the ante when it comes to immersion. This Power Wind kit has really changed my mind on the effectiveness of these computer fans. And as we saw in the video, the 3D printed fan shrouds do an excellent job of not only focusing the wind stream, but also in the power or speed of that wind. Actually, using the Power Wind kit is an eye-opening experience. It had me smiling before I had finished the first lap. Totally caught me off guard. Sim Racing Studio has done a great job in the development of this system, from the cool 3D printed housings to the custom printed circuit boards that make this system work. I like what I'm seeing here. And I like how easy it is to tune the system with their software, and the fact that it gives you options as far as the tuning process. Now, the system I'm reviewing costs $209 plus $25 for shipping, and does include their airflow straighteners that are optional, so you do have to pay extra for them. You also have to figure out how you will get the fans mounted, and everyone has a different requirement for that, I'm sure. But having GoPro mounts on the bottom of the housings does make it less of a chore sourcing what is right for your mounting needs. Although, sim racers who have made the switch to only using VR for driving will have more options when it comes to getting their fans mounted. I like the fact that this system is easy to expand. If you want more wind power, just buy some more fans and a couple of RJ45 splitters and you're ready to go. So, if you're looking to increase your rig's immersion factor, I would add Sim Racing Studio's Power Wind kit to your list. I'm Barry Rowland, and thanks again for watching the Sim Racing Garage channel.